Yeah, she's back. Jazzy Mitchell loves to tell stories one word at a time. Knowing how powerful words are, she enjoys connecting them in different ways. For over 30 years, Jazzy has taught English, law, ethics, and even energy work to foster understanding. Jazzy likes to write about what she observes. She's warned loved ones anything they say or do may show up in her next novel. Jazzy is the author of 3 contemporary lesbian romance novels, Lost Treasures, Musings of a Mad Woman, and You Matter. She is currently working on her next book called Undertow. Please welcome Jazzy Mitchell.
Okay, let's see how we do here. I'll be reading from my first novel, Lost Treasures. And Lost Treasures is about, after working for a year at a Manhattan clothing resale shop called Lost Treasures, Tori asked to design the window displays. These displays capture the attention of Evelyn, the editor-in-chief of Trending, who decides to feature the shop, its window designs, and the designer in her fashion magazine. In this excerpt, after Evelyn's assistant fails to give her any information about the new window designer, she visits the shop to try and find out more about Tori, who she believes is a man. Evelyn strode from the elevator and handed over the reviewed mock-up to Heather as she began her litany of directives. She rounded her desk, finishing her list, and eyed her senior assistant. She looked exhausted, and her nose was red. Evelyn rolled her eyes. "What did you find out?" Heather blanched as she straightened her stance. "The window displays were changed last night until..." Heather grabbed a tissue and blew her nose. "I'm sorry. I must have caught the sniffles from standing in the rain all night." "Honestly, Heather, did I ask you to spew unnecessary rationalizations for spreading germs all over my office?" "Sorry. I didn't see a man decorating the windows. Just some young woman in ratty jeans, a collared sweatshirt, and a baseball cap." "How long did you observe?" She was sure Heather either had not remained long enough to see Tori's arrival or had arrived too late after the window dressing began. "All night. I got there an hour before closing. She set up a male mannequin to stare at a picture of an old man in one window and a female running after a man in the other window. She finished around 2 this morning." Evelyn glared. "You mean to tell me you watched some woman dress the windows all by herself?" Yes, Evelyn. No one else joined her. No one. I was watching closely to see if anyone else was in the shop, but I saw no one. Also, when she finished, she was the only one to leave the store." Heather shifted in place. Turning toward the windows, Evelyn dismissed her assistant with a wave of her hand. How odd. Ira had told her they were the same person, but Evelyn supposed it was possible the shop had hired someone else to help. She tapped her lips with a finger. A small squeak from her junior assistant as she walked toward the exit made Evelyn smirk. "I shall return in an hour." Evelyn swept out the door without another word. She wondered, as she sat quietly in the back seat of the Mercedes, whether she was becoming obsessed with the window designer. She knew nothing about the man, yet she felt drawn to his designs. Just seeing the dressed windows calmed her, transformed her day into a more manageable one. Perhaps this was her way of pushing aside, for a small amount of time, all the mundane, endless disappointments that bogged her down lately. Work deadlines, her empty bed, even her daughter's growing independence streaks. To most people, any of those situations would prove life-changing, but to Evelyn, they were just frivolous details dressed up as large life events. Wasting no time once the car rolled up to the shop, Evelyn approached the newly designed windows. She exhaled loudly as her eyes widened with surprise. She had done it again. It did not escape her that Tori had not spent much money on props. It didn't matter. The clothes and accessories were showcased magnificently. Her art department could learn from his ability to work with what he had available. Normally, Evelyn would question the juxtaposition of contemporary clothing with the classic tale, but somehow the window dresser made it work. He had extraordinary vision, an ability to look at life in new and exciting ways. People milled about, many trying to guess which literary classic these designs reflected. The picture frame gave it all away, of course. How could they not recognize Dorian Gray? Didn't anyone pay attention in school anymore? Even her daughters would be able to guess which books these displays represented. In fact, they would be excited to hear that a new display was up. They would make a game of guessing which parts of the book these scenes reflected. A gust of cold air brought her out of her musings. She gazed at the windows for several more minutes, allowing herself the luxury of studying the design layouts, the colors, the textures, and the message before entering the boutique. It did not look horrible. Small, yes. A bit worn, certainly. Yet it held a certain charm. With a quick glance, Evelyn recognized many of the major labels: Chanel, Yves Saint Laurent, Valentino, Chloe, Lagerfeld. She nodded. Sweeping her eyes around the store once more, she noticed a young woman entering the shop, her eyes landing on Evelyn. She seemed to freeze in place before surging forward. "Do you need assistance?" She removed a knit cap and fluffed her bangs with her fingers. "Do you work here?" Evelyn studied her. Was this the woman Heather had seen dressing the windows last night? "Yes, well, it's my day off, but I'm glad to help you if you need anything." I would like to speak to your window designer. Is he available?" She doubted it was the man at the register. He was dressed suitably, but he didn't seem to have the vision needed to create those window displays. She usually was spot on about people. Her instincts were what had propelled her to the top of the fashion industry. She could look at people and know their capabilities long before they ever imagined them. "Oh, well, that is, if you would like to." Listening to the woman stumble over her words, Evelyn pressed her lips together. Normally, she would utter some snide remark to mortify the person who dared to waste her time, but she couldn't help but notice how adorable the brunette looked with her wide emerald eyes, hands twisting together. Evelyn found herself on the brink of smiling, as ridiculous as it was. Biting down on her lower lip as she looked up through her lashes at the beautiful creature, Evelyn contemplated how to get what she wanted without verbally eviscerating the woman. "What did you say your name is?" What, my name? Yes, The unwelcome intrusion of her cell phone ringing interrupted Evelyn's intention to find out who the young woman was. With a roll of her eyes, she turned away and answered her phone with a terse, "Yes?" Ira told her about a problem with the shoot in a downtown art gallery that was threatening to push back production. Unacceptable. She could feel a headache forming behind her eyes. Squeezing the bridge of her nose, Evelyn wondered why it was so hard to find competent people. Visualizing the next few hours, Evelyn huffed. "I'm on my way there now." She disconnected the call and looked at the younger woman who waited patiently. "I will have to return another time." Evelyn stared at the brunette a moment longer before spinning on her heel and exiting the shop. Squaring her shoulders, Evelyn decided she would not settle for anything less than perfection. If a window designer with a practically non-existent budget could reach it, so could trending.